Paid-for setups, are they truly worth it? Well, this video aims to answer that very question. We are going to be using a free method to make setups for F125, and then we are going to be putting them against our lovely boys over at Setup Syndicate to see if the paid-for setups are truly worth it. Let's get it. Here we are finally inside the game. Let's pull up our ChatGPT setup and see what it says to do. So initially we want the aerodynamics to be 38, 38 and 32. How interesting. Our transmission is going to be 75 30, 3.5 on the camber, 2, we got 0.4 and then down to 0.12. Our suspension geometry is going to be 39 16, 86, 23 and 46. Interesting. Our brakes are pretty similar to how everyone runs, 56 100, and then tires I believe are exactly the same. Yes, they are. Hang on, 24.5. We go up a little bit and then down a little bit on the rears. Let's see what this will do. Now, I am using the racing line because I am bad, but other than that, all assists are turned off. Let's see what we can do with this setup. Now, coming into the first corner, we are already 3 tenths down on our personal best. That is not ideal. Into the quick little right-hander, 6 tenths. Jesus. No, this setup feels oversteery. It doesn't feel nice. It's stable on throttle, I'll give it that. But is stable on throttle really what you need if you're 9 tenths down? Managed to claw back a second, so that's at least something. Down the long straight of China, it feels like it just never ever ends. In a straight line, we are gaining. We gained maybe a couple tenths. But into the braking zone, look, we've just lost another 4 tenths. Open up the straight mode. A 1:34.6 is our time. Let's jump back into the garage. Let's throw on the Syndicate setup for China. Obviously, sorry guys, I can't show you. But let's compare around the lap. Immediately in the green. Now, that was a bit bad for me. I went a bit deep, but we're still up. So there's definitely time on the table here, chat. We would have been 2 tenths up. So remember, our time was a 1:34.6 in the ChatGPT setup. Coming down the main straight we go. One more braking zone. Across the line, we set a 1:33.4. My goodness, almost a second of a difference. Wow, that is insane. So I think that we can see from China that the paid-for setup was a lot faster. So let's try another track. Back into our favorite ChatGPT. Let's ask him now, Japan. Let's see if they can give us a one for Japan. Okay, interessante. Stable and fast is what it is telling us. Let's get this into the game and see what we can do. All right, so here we are at the Japanese track. Now, ChatGPT is telling us for our aerodynamics, we again want we want 34 on the front aero and 30 on the rear. So keeping them awfully close. We want an on-throttle differential of 70% and then an off-throttle differential of 30%. Interesting. Our suspension geometry, we leave the front and rear cambers. Our front toe, we leave that, and then again, we drop down to 0.12 on here. It wants us to go 38 front suspension, 18 on the rear suspension. Anti-roll bar of, again, 8. It really likes this 8, doesn't it? 5 on here, a ride height of 22, and a rear ride height of 48. Brake pressure of 100%, so that makes sense. 55 on the brake bias, 24.5 on the tires again, and 21. So a couple similarities that ChatGPT is spitting out for us. But let us head out onto the circuit, do a flying lap, and let's see what happened. Yeah. Interesting start, ChatGPT. Let's restart that lap and see if we can make it through turn 1, shall we? I say turn 1, this is the last corner on the Japanese circuit. So I have turned off my internet so that you guys cannot copy the Syndicate setups. I am very sorry. But they are paid for, so it would not be fair for me to accidentally leak them. As into turn 1 we go, the car just doesn't feel like it wants to turn into the S's of Japan, the iconic S's. Ship trying to stay in 5th gear, coming down to 4th. You have a little bit of a snap going into there. Doesn't really feel like the car wants to turn. Oof, coming into the first Degna, that was very, very scary. Into the second Degna, didn't feel like we could slow the car down much as into the hairpin we go down. We'll short shift into 3rd gear as we have a lot of wheel spin on the exit, which is very interesting. Maybe I was a bit foot happy there. In towards Spoon Curve we go. The great thing about doing this in time trial, we do not need to worry about the battery. We can just go for it. So we activate the straight mode again, a little bit of wheel spin on the exit of Spoon. Up towards 130R we go. 300 kilometers an hour going through there. We'll shift down a gear as we do in the race. Into the final little chicane we go. Ride the curb on the power. Shortest run to the line, and it's going to be a 130.9. It's not very quick. Let's put on our paid-for setup and see what we can do. So I have had a lot of practice around Japan recently. VSC had their league race around Japan. I got a P4 in split 3, I believe I was. Now, it wasn't the best race of my life. I was running in the podium positions for the majority of it. However, I ended up having a bit of a kerfuffle at the end. Last corner, last lap. Wasn't an ideal time to be MoMo. But through the S's we go. As you can see, we are already 2/10 up on our personal best. And this was the first ever time that I put a lap around Japan on the board. So into Degna 1 we go. Little bit of a lift, but the car slows down nicely. 3/10 up as we come into the hairpin. Again, down in second, short shift into third. Get on the throttle as early as you can, and look at that. We are 4/10 up. Now, the straight line speed might not be the best. We'll see when we get up to 130R as we come through Spoon. It was a little bit scrappy, but we still managed to find quite a bit of time. 6/10 up on the ChatGPT setup. Shift up into 8th gear. Going around, we are 304 kilometers an hour as we come up into Spoon, so a little bit more straight line speed. Into the final chicane we go, nice and gentle, early as we can on the throttle. Into the shortest run to the line, and it is a 132. definitely more time in it. I did have a bit of a scrappy couple corners, but even though we still had a scrappy couple of corners, we were still 6/10 up. Do you see a pattern, chat? Do you see a pattern with where this is going? I think you might. Let's get on to our final track around my home race. Mr. Silverstone, the home of Formula One. And let's see what we can do. Okay, so back over at everybody's favorite robot. Let's get a Silverstone setup. If I could spell Silverstone. There we go. Here we go. What is it going to spit out for us? Absolutely, M-dash. Silverstone needs a setup that gives you confidence through maggots and beckets while still being quick down the hangar straight. Well, ChatGPT, I'm gonna put this to the test. See if it works. All right, so here we are at the home of F1, one of the most stunning tracks on the calendar, and honestly, my favorite to drive. So ChatGPT, what have you got for us today? You have got the front wing at 30 and the rear wing at 25. Our on-throttle differential is going to be 70 again, with our off-throttle diff being 30. Seems ChatGPT likes that one. We keep the front camber normal, we keep the rear camber normal, we keep the front toe normal, and for some reason we go down to 12 again on the rear toe. Front suspension is going to be a cheeky little 38. Rear suspension we keep at 16. Roll bar again, going to 8. Interesting. Anti-roll bar is going to be a swift little 5. 22 for the ride height and 45 for the rear ride height. Brakes, 55 on the bias, 100, and then ChatGPT's favorite, 24 and then 21. 24.5 and 21. It says maggots and beckets will feel strong and responsive. Hops will have plenty stability. The village loop the rears will stay predictable and will have a good rotation. Well, ChatGPT, let's put that to the test. Let's get out there, see what we can do. Let's start this lap. So up towards turn 1, typically flat out in any modern day Formula 1 car. All the way up to the first couple of corners, braking as late as I feel comfortable, on power, down into second try and get that rotation. It feels like it's trying to rotate, maybe not as much as I would like it to be. Coming up to this quick little braking zone, I'll be honest, I have forgotten what a lot of the corner names are, so sorry about that. On the power as early as possible. Cut as much of the track here as you dare. Up towards Cops we go. Is it going to be a little lift? It's a tiny little lift and a downshift into 7th just to keep it going. Into maggots and beckets now. We're flat out. Lift. Braking. We're trying to get that exit as smooth as possible. I have completely forgotten. But down towards Vale again. We're not going to cut into the pits to try and make our lap time better. Round Vale we go. It's going to be a 130.467. Now, honestly, that setup didn't feel too bad. It did feel stable, but was it fast? That's the key. This is the first time that I have used this setup. So we'll see what it's like. Again, flat out through these corners. As we do go a little bit wide, but I don't think that's the end of the world. We are 2 tenths up. Now, I do think that this might be a little bit harder to control. Didn't cut as much as I usually do. I was focusing on the lap time there. Into Cops we come. Does feel very stable through there as we gain a couple tenths. In towards maggots and beckets now. Lost the rear a little bit, but nothing too major. Stepped out on us a bit, but we were still able to catch it as we are 6 tenths up through that section of corners alone. Again, 7/10. Into Vale, we're going a little bit deep, maybe not the most ideal. We lose a 10th as we went so deep, but a 1:29.7. That was fast. Seeing as we know what the setup kind of feels like a little bit, let's do, as it is a bit more unstable than ChatGPT, let's see if we can find any more time. But a 29.4. Now, I am by no means perfect. I am not perfect at this game, as you can see. I made a few mistakes. But in all of the things that we did, in each one, we went almost a second faster. If you do want to use the setups that I used in this video, there will be a link down in the description. You can use code MoMo to get 5% off of your Setup Syndicate setups. But do you know what helps out more? Liking and subscribing. So if you like this kind of content, if you like Formula 1 and you're a big F1 fan like myself, please consider dropping a follow. Obviously, it's completely up to you, but it does help me out a hell of a lot and lets me know that you guys want to see more of this content. So thank you so much. Any suggestions for videos in the future, please drop them in the comments. I'll see you next time.